Here we are again with Truth Be Told, Cameron Taylor,
Thank you.
and I'm your host, Tanika Missouri. And this series has been so good. We're talking about the matters of the heart. And this particular series for our love month is called The Funny Thing About Love. And we're going through the ebbs and flows of all it took for Cameron Wilson to become the Cameron Taylor she is now. It works.
It did. I love how you did that.
I I yield, so you can go ahead and um go
So,
ahead and tell your story.
yeah, so where we left off, of course, I am a business entrepreneur, and I've always been a go-getter. I've worked, long-term jobs, was with a company in the telecom industry for 13 years, then moved to another company who was also in telecom and another one. So over 15 years, I was in telecom. And after a while, I was like, I can only do so much by, offering cell phone services and all this. I said, I want to give more. So I tailored my business to all the different positions that I've had within those companies and created my own, which is the KJD Group. And what I do is I provide business resources to medium to small businesses within the area. Because I did business accounts in the telecom industry, I was able to keep a lot of those relationships and be able to provide them because they knew me different resources in a different aspect. Because I've always been a go-getter and because my husband is more of a homebody, we had to figure out how to ensure that, I wasn't always out and I gave him the time that he needed as well. I will say love languages. Please figure out what your love language is because that is truly going to help you to sustain and have longevity in a relationship. It wasn't until later that we figured out, oh wait, let's find out what our love languages are, and it still helped because I was able to then understand that my husband, yes, he's a homebody, but his strongest love language out of them all is quality time. And me, because I'm the busybody, I'm spreading my time to so many different things and so many different aspects and people to where in his eyes that becomes disrespect. Like he feels like, oh, you're not respecting the fact that I need your time. I value time, and my love language is quality of time, but yet here you are spreading your time to everybody else, so therefore it's disrespectful. And so it wasn't until I realized that his love language is quality time, and whether it's just me being in the room with him, he feels love. Me spending, taking the time out to, not focus on anything else but just us being together, he feels loved. For me, in return, my strongest love language is affection, time, touch. I like to be touched. I like to just feel, rub up against, that's my thing. So once he figured
Would
that,
you
go
would you
ahead.
say yours is actually what is also acts of service? Maybe
It's definitely
because
acts of service. Yeah, definitely acts of service. But in the aspect of our relationship, it was more the affection, the time, the touch. It was touch. And so not only is it acts of service because I do like acts of service, I do love to give, I do love to show that I'm able to reciprocate love, and I do it in a way of showing versus writing or whatever it is. Mine was touch. That's the biggest thing. So I wanted to be touched, just a lean up. It doesn't have to be, oh, anything like that. It was more just I just want to feel skin to skin, wherever, wherever the case is. So once we identified that and understood that, it took a lot of friction out of the marriage because it no longer did I he look at it as disrespect because I was able to understand and realize, okay, this is what my husband needs in order for him to feel love. Like I can touch him all day long. Come to find out, that's the least one. That's his last one. He hates touch. And so it's a conflict for both of us because he knows I need it, but he hates it. So it's like, okay, a give and take trying to figure it out. And then in return, quality time was my least because I'm always doing certain things. So it wasn't necessarily that I needed. So we've had to figure out that balance. So not to say that it can't happen, it's just you have to recognize it and then work a little more towards it. So
there you have it, ladies. Every man's quality love language is not physical touch.
No, it is not.
And
It is not. Granted, I mean, no, no, let me not do that. But yes, his was quality time. So, in order for him to feel the love, quality time and me just being in his presence was all he really needed. So, you know, we didn't learn that till after, like, late into our marriage, years into it. So as I mentioned before, yes, we have separated. It was a couple years after that whole, I served him with divorce papers and all that. We ended up going down and, canceling the divorce and, canceling all the, we went down and went ahead and not necessarily annulled it. We just suspended the cancel or the divorce papers. So in the midst of that, he was able to show me a different side of him. He, start planning dates. We would go out on a date once a month. He would pick the place, pick me up. We would dress and all these different things. And this was actually, let me back up a little. So when I did
you
serve
guys
him the
were in two
divorce.
different homes.
Yes, I was just about to say, when I did serve him the divorce papers, we did move out of the home that we had got when we first got married. I moved out. He moved away, lived with, I think his brother, and then I moved in with my parents at the time. And so, neither one of us was in a place to where we could be out on our own to, live on our own. So we did separate and live in different areas. So at this point, we're dating each other. And it's not that we separated to where, we, I didn't want anything to do with him. He didn't want anything to do with me. That's how it was at first. But then again, we realized we did love each other. And so we wanted to give it another chance. So when we did go down to finally, in the divorce papers, he actually gave me a new ring and he was like, okay, we're going to start over. Granted, we still didn't live together at the time, but he gave me a new ring to symbolize a new step in a new direction. So that's when he started planning dates and he would pick me up and he would, we would do certain things and go places. And it was nice to date him again, because not that we didn't do it before, but it was just, he knew that there needed to be a change and a shift in the relationship to show a newness. And so we ended up dating each other and being around each other. And that was at the moment, it was good for both of us because we both needed to grow and mature a little more in the marriage itself. And so we dated each other. We got back together. We still didn't move in with each other just yet. And then something big and significant happened in 2016. Again, we weren't living with each other just yet, but this is when, something went very wrong. And we didn't talk to each other for like a month or two. And in the midst of that month or two of us not talking, that's when I asked God to reveal me to me. Like, what is it that I need to do? I need to change. I need to be better as a wife, help fix me. So in 2016, and again, this was around 2015 when we had tried dating. So 2016 is when, we really stopped talking. I asked God to reveal me to me, and then we ended up talking maybe about 2 months later. And then I revealed to him, like, here's some things that I've been working on. I apologize for, and so I had to humble myself and really explain, some of the things that I've been going through, what I've experienced, acknowledge some of the wrongs that I've done. And in return, he wasn't quite there yet, but I knew that this was something I still needed to do for myself. Like, I still needed to apologize. I still needed to, change my ways. Even if he wasn't ready, I still needed to do it. And so in that moment, we're still, going back and forth as far as, do we really want to continue this marriage? Do we not? And then it wasn't until around 2001 or two, and again, we did move in back in each other's lives within that time frame. But around 2022, his dad ended up having some health issues, and I ended up moving back in with him and his dad at that moment. And I took care of his dad for about 3 to 5 months. While he went to work, his dad could no longer be on his own. And so I went ahead and moved in with his dad and him to take care of his dad, my father-in-law. And in that moment, it allowed me to not only get the chance to really build. I mean, I've already had a good relationship with his dad and his mom, which they're separated, they're not together, but I've already had a good relationship with my in-laws. But this gave me a chance to really understand my father-in-law as a man, and then also see different aspects of my husband within my father-in-law. And so gave me a glimpse into my future of, okay, this is the man that I'll be dealing with when he's this age. And so I got the chance to really understand their dynamic, him as a man, and look at him differently and understand him differently. And again, out of me being able to take care of my father-in-law, it humbled me again even more to be able to, be in that environment and understand my husband has been watching his dad deteriorate in front of his eyes. And so I had to be that backbone for my husband. So it made me understand and realize again things differently. And so I got the chance to really understand my husband as a man, not just my husband, and look at him from a different aspect. And it changed my view of my husband. And then we went into a joint venture most recently. As I mentioned, I'm also a foster parent. And so I've changed to that dynamic. And so my husband and I have moved from that home where we were taking care of his dad, my father-in-law, to a new home as of 2023. And because my husband and I have never had kids of our own, I've always had kids, and I've raised my sons with their dad, and he's raised his daughter with her mom. We've never had the chance to really raise a kid in our dynamic. Excuse me.
Yes, I understand what you're going. And right before you go through that dynamic, I want to just touch bases on something you said because I this dynamic is very important. But before we get there, there's this place in your relationship that you separate. And you said you separated because you guys had different dynamics. He always wanted to be home. You always had a different idea of what your day to day would be like, and you were outgoing and adventurous. And in some aspects, it helped y'all. We're not saying, hey, separation is what you need for your marriage because it's not. But in one way, it helped y'all because you were able to go and have your friends over. He didn't like having people over your house. You loved your family, and there was some dissension or some
Yeah.
conflict
So
between
let
you
me
and him.
cover that part to kind of give an
Yes.
understanding of that. So when we did have a separation, I was in the midst of us being separate. I was able to get my own place during that time, and because life's and things happen. I myself, I enjoy the company of my friends and being out, whether it's being out or having them over, and I cook, and I love cooking for people. That's another way, love language for me, cooking and being able to share food. And so with him, not that he doesn't like people coming over or anything, but he just prefers it just be, us in our own home and enjoying our environment. But me, I'm the more the merrier, whether it's coming over, going out, even if we're going to a place, I'll pay for people to come with us because I want them to experience fun and joy and have a good time and not have to worry about money, finances, and all of that. Not that I'm balling or anything, because I'm not, but if I have it, and God has always blessed me to where I do have it, to where I can. So I heavily rely and thank God for being able to, use me in that area to where if I have it, I can give it and everybody can enjoy. So because my husband and I have always, had these moments where it's always me, and I won't say always, but probably 90% of the time it's always me, wanting to check out and be like, nope, I'm gone, I'm done. Because I've always had these things, my parents and my siblings, especially because we're so close. In the beginning, I shared too much. So try not to share a lot with your family because you'll forgive, but they don't always forgive right away, or they won't forgive at all. So because of that dynamic and because of all the ups and downs that I have, and because I've overshared with my siblings, some of them, just refuse not to be around him. So there's times where I have to choose, if it's a holiday, oh, do I stay at home with my husband for this holiday, or do I go and be with my family for this holiday? So I'm sometimes torn, with having to choose, do I go here or do I go there? So because of, the care and the love and protection and all the things that family wants to do for you, I still make the decision that that is my husband. I will still respect him as my husband. So if we're not allowed, then I'm probably not going to come. So I do choose, and I do go back and forth, but that's my own issue. And it's not really an issue. I mean, out of respect, he stays away because he knows how people feel about certain things, and I still pray. I advocate for both sides. Like, hey, we're together. They gonna have to figure it out. You just gonna have to come around sometimes, and they just gonna have to deal with it, or vice versa, and you just have to deal with it. But it's still a work in progress. But at
Sometimes,
this,
sometimes, in our relationships, you're saying that we will go through struggle in our relationship, and the way we tell our struggle can cause our families to take offense.
yes,
So I think that if you're in a struggle in your marriage, it's okay to talk to your family, but you let them know the boundaries.
right,
It's what
right,
I would say. Something that no one ever teaches you. You tell them the boundaries. You don't just go and slate everything, and
right.
say, hey, this is what happened. Say, hey, I am going through this situation in my marriage and I want to talk to you because I want to,
I need an outlet.
learn how to
Yeah.
get through it or whatever. So then there's not like, oh, I hate him. He did this to me. And now they're taking on that hate, right?
Right.
And that's
Right.
in every relationship, right? Any
Yeah.
kind of relationship. When you go in and you say, oh, I hate them, these people did this, they take on that for themselves. And now
Hmm.
because they love you, they want to protect you from that, right?
Right.
And so um, now you're in this relationship with your husband, who is still your husband. And I don't know if you want to give a little short, because people do go through situations and they overcome them.
Mhm.
So you had a situation within your marriage that was probably lines for divorce, right?
Right.
And you decided to stay in it, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
couples can stay in a marriage if they desire, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How they
It's about choosing. It's about making the choices, and you choose each other. So yeah, we did when I got my own apartment, and the reason for that, we had a big blow up, and in the midst of us not talking, he decided to have a relationship with someone else. And in the midst of me finding that out of spite, I did the same exact thing. And so we had to work past that. It wasn't until that happened around May, June timeframe of 2016. And it wasn't until around November that at that moment, that's when we chose to restart again. So we've had a few restarts in our marriage. So again, 13 years of marriage, it ain't been all pretty, but we still continue to choose each other, and we are still choosing each other. And as I mentioned, in the midst of lifing, his dad got sick, and I've been sick, and we've had these ups and downs through it all. We still, even though we may go a month or two of not talking, we end up coming back together because we realize that we still choose each other. Like, I still can't see myself without, doing life without him, and he can't choose life or see life without me. At least, I hope that's still the case. I can only speak for myself. But no, he's still here. He's still here.
I want to tell you that you might hear my dog in the background, because if you hear that growling, I'm sorry if that
I know.
interrupts. But
No, I didn't hear anything.
okay, go ahead.
But yeah, we still continue to choose each other. We still want to be in the marriage. We still want to be with each other. And as I was mentioning, we have taken on a new venture where we're foster parents. And that has also helped me to see my husband in a new dynamic, a new era, because we've never been able to parent together. Like I mentioned, me and my ex, we've always been great co-parents. So he never had to step in that role to be father because they had a father. their father's very active in their life. And matter of fact, when I separated and moved in that 2016 timeframe, they went to live with their dad long term. And so they've lived with their dad since they were 13. 13 seems to be a number for me. Since they were 13, they've lived with their dad, and they're now 22, 21 years old. So dad has always been in their life. So we've never really parented a child and had that family sense. It's always just been he and I as a couple. But now we foster kids. And so I get the chance to see him as a father, as a dad, and setting those rules, setting that example, being the man of the house, laying the groundwork. And so it made him look even sexier to me. So I was like, okay, I see you differently. Okay. So it's been great to see him in that role and play that dynamic. Not that he wasn't to my sons or his daughter, but it's different because now we're setting the rules together. So we're becoming as one, which we had issues becoming as one in the beginning because of my selfishness and how I thought things should be. But now it's a beautiful thing to see him be this man that I've always desired and wanted him to be. Not that he hasn't, but in a different role. So it's been great. It's allowed us to flourish and grow even more as husband and wife, and become one in a strong front in front of these kids that we're dealing with. So it's been great. It's been great to see him.
That's awesome. So you come from the beginning to the end, and how God has really just moved throughout your relationship. Um, so love really saves you in so many different instances of your life, or saved your relationship, and even saved him in ways that you were able to come in and be what you needed to be for his family, so that his father could live, so that he can work and provide during this time of separation, where you had to move out and you felt like you had to be selfish. You had times where you had to move in and be selfless and just really give of yourself, and to someone who was not your dad, but now he is, because you married into this man and you become one, like you said, his family. So his father is important to him. And if you love him, you're going to love his father, right?
Yeah.
And so you were able to love his father, and in that, learning to love his father, it showed you so many different dimensions of him, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so love in so many circumstances, even when it seemed like it was losing, it won.
Yeah.
And d- was the victory a byproduct of endurance, just enduring all the different um eras of your experiences?
Yeah. And I mean, love, well, and again, because there's so many different levels and aspects to love, it's always going to win as long as that's the foundation that you come from. And again, God has always been my foundation. Like I mentioned, from the time watching my mom go through what she's gone through, and establishing God's role in her life, I've been able to establish it in my life. My sons, when they were with me and living with me, their whole young childhood was in church as well. I made sure that they were grounded and rooted in God's love. I showed them. I'm very real and open with my sons, letting them know when I am experiencing a hardship, when I am going through things. I don't overshare, but I let them know, because that's what my mom did to me, so that I was able to understand, okay, here's where I'm happy. I only have so much money on me, but I'm praying that God's going to do this for me. And when God did it for me, look what God did. So I'm sharing those stories with my sons, as my mom shared with me, so that I can see the true testament of what God has done in my life and for my life. And so in return, God continues to do those things for me when I'm on my sick bed, with dealing with cancer and all these different things. When I am, struggling in my marriage with God, I'm going to God, asking him, okay, God, what am I to learn in this season? What am I to learn in this moment? Who am I? Help me understand my role in this situation, so that I can be better, so that I can do things. Even before I get a kid that comes to my home, okay, God, you know who belongs here. You know who needs to come here. You know what I'm able to give, and what they can receive from this, being in my home. So I'm always praying and laying the foundation with God first before I make those moves. So I'm taking those same exact words that I told those single men and women: wait for God. Make sure that you talk to him first before you make any decision or any move, because without him, it can go array. It can
Right.
go horribly wrong, but with him, it's going to be what it needs to be in that moment. Not that it's going to be all great, but it's going to be what it needs to be in that moment for everyone involved. So I always make sure that, whatever I'm going through, whatever's happening, okay, God, here's the situation. Here's what's going on. What do you need from me? Use me as you see fit. Allow me to do what you need me to do in this moment. So I'm always checking with him before I make the next move.
Awesome. So what you're saying is that God really anchored you. God really anchored you in the midst of all these different relationships and environments and situations and circumstances. He kind of helped you to remain and cultivated you. And so he anchors you even when love fluctuates, and that's beautiful to have him in all those different various places of existence. And it doesn't compete, right? It doesn't compete. God's love does not compete with any other type of love, right?
No.
So, like being a woman of God, how did that? Um, how can you give an illustration of that? Because is your husband is your husband a believer as well?
Yes, yes, he is. Yes.
Yes.
And so, I mean, granted, I don't, for me, it's all about the relationship with God. I had a church that I was going to faithfully I was involved in the ministry, the media, in the couples getaways that I was doing. I was actually the event planner for our church, and I would, put that together for all the couples and the married couples and all of that. So we've always been involved. And so when as a believer and as a woman, I don't have to give up God in order to love my husband. I don't have to, I can incorporate the two, because the only way that I can know how to love my husband is to go to God. God, how do I love him? How, because God knows him too. So God knows his needs, God knows what he needs, God knows what I need. So God, how can you use me to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do as a wife, as a mom, as a sister, as a daughter, to all of the different relationships that I have, because he knows what they need and what I need in return. Like, matter of fact, the call that came through on the last segment, that was my father. And so during the break, I called him back and I'm like, oh, hey, God, Dad, and I'm his favorite, just to put it on record. I am his favorite out of all his kids, other than my only brother, because that's his only son. I'm his favorite daughter. So he even called me. He's like, hey, you don't call to check on me. You didn't call and check on me. You're losing your favorite spot. And I'm like, okay, Dad, I'm sorry. So he's like, hey, can you help me in this situation? Something happened with his bank and whatever the case is. But, I know if I have it, I'm going to help. Like, even if I know a situation, he doesn't ask for my help. If I have it, I'm going to help. So it's all these different things. And again, God, use me as you see fit. If I have the resources, use me for whoever needs it. Just like I'm able to help, all the people that I've come across, even, helping you with the business when you were starting it. If I have the resources, I'm going to give. So it doesn't compete. It's more so God using me to be able to help you or help the next person.
It inspires, it causes it to flow into all these other venues.
Exactly.
So because I am
Exactly.
who I am in God, he gives me the information I need. He gives me the tools I need. He gives me the instructions I need. He has poured so much in me that when it flows out, it can flow out to help other people. So I'm not
Exactly.
competing with my husband. He's not competing for my love, right?
Right.
But he's benefiting from my love from God, right?
Exactly.
My kids are not
Exactly.
competing with my husband or my love for God. There are different types of love, right?
Mhm.
And when I pour out, I'm able to pour out to them all because I'm pouring out from the vessel as God gives me influence, as He's given me understanding. I'm using the knowledge that He gives me to be able to help them in the various ways that they need help. He anchors everything. He brings us
Exactly.
together as one. He teaches us
Exactly.
as we're going through it. We're not perfect. We sin, we flaw, but if we yield to God, He'll help us. He'll anchor us so that we can be the best we can be for all these other areas that He's given us leadership or influence in our lives, right? That's what
Exactly.
I hear you saying. So it
Hmm.
allows love to remain, right? It allows love to be solid and concrete, and it keeps love from collapsing under pressure. I would say that would be the thing that keeps love from collapsing under pressure.
Yeah.
you know, the value you have of God, and then each other. Like if I love you, I want to be able to listen to you. I want to be able to hear what drives you. I want to be here to for you when you need something, or be supportive of how of however you feel you might have a deficit or a need. And if I can be that for you and I have your back, then you can have my back and we're good, right?
Yeah.
So the Bible says that two are better than one because one will keep the other one from falling, right? One will keep the other person warm, right? And
Yeah.
so having the oneness, I will also say, keeps the love from collapsing under um, pressure. But if you never become one, you know, and so I think all the different aspects, even the children, helping you guys become one, your language with God. Um, I think maybe even sanctified your husband because it helped him become closer to God, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
where you were yielding and wanting to do, you know, it kind of in some ways prevented you from doing all the things of God, which made you want to move out, right? But then him, that separation helped you guys understand each other better, right?
Right. Right.
God brought you guys to places and allowed things to happen for you can understand, okay, this is the kind of man he came from. This is the kind of things that I've seen in him. And now I have understanding of why he is the way he is. Now I can understand how to help him, right, as his
Yes.
wife.
Mm-hmm.
And also him coming into the church and being able to see you flow and being able to partner with you in other areas of the church, and now coming in as children, you know, being able to have children together as one now, and being able to come, that bringing you guys together, so that being able to express love is actually God's wing, or the third strand of cord that wraps everything together and
Amen.
anchors it in him. So I think that's it. That's what it takes for love to remain.
Yeah, you got to choose it. Choose love and choose to walk in it and let God lead you in it. So as long as God is the foundation and you allow him to walk you through and you go to him for the answers and help him, have him help you understand which doors to open, which doors to close, which directions to go. There's no way that you can fail in anything else. God is going to flow through you, and through you he's going to touch other people, and you'll be able to not only help others, but you'll receive love in return because that's God's way.
Yeah, and I see a lot of ways in where you transferred from um, love being emotional to maturing to it to being really committed. And even though it's not always easy, you're learning how to be solid in the foundation of what love is
Yeah.
and grow through it. And I think that's worth talking about.
Amen.
Hallelujah. So, truth
Amen.
be told, love doesn't eliminate struggle. The funny thing about love is it gives you reason to endure it. When love
Yes.
remains, you remain.
Amen.
That's it, you
Amen.
guys, for our podcast. And I think you did a wonderful job of really bringing the culture of the funny thing about love to fulfillment, because all of the ebbs and flows of your life.
Lots
We're
of
so
ebbs and
grateful
flows.
that you were able to be with us here today within the last 20 seconds. Do you have anything you want to tell the people, or you want to say goodbye?
I just want to thank you for allowing me to come on to help others who may be in the same situation. Again, as I said, wait on God, allow Him to use you. And again, if you need help with the business resources, feel free to reach out the KJD Group, and that's KJD for Cameron, Jalen, Donovan, me and my son. So the KJDgroup.com. We'll be here to help.
All right. Truth be told, you guys have an
Blessings.
amazing day. Bye.
Bye.